says weapons. Now, TF2 has them, and my god, the enjoyment, variety, and sheer brilliance of the majority of this game's tools for murder is simply something to admire. Now that's not to say that there's not a few shit stains on the otherwise spotless trophy, but for what it is, the game's arsenal is remarkably fine-tuned for both balance and fun. And when it comes to gaming, nothing is more important than the simple question, can I have fun? And so, I present to you my top 9 picks for the best weapons in TF2 in regards to fun factor. For once, balance is out the fucking window, so don't get used to it, it won't last forever. The only rule I'll be applying in order to maintain some sense of structure is one weapon per class, befitting a top 9. If I didn't do this, half of the list would be nothing but caber-pelting peg-leg destruction. That being said, all things are set, so let's get moving. You'd think with how broken marksmanship was in Skyrim, that other games would adapt to be sensible, right? Well, survey says fuck you! Rustling its way from the bushes comes the Huntsman, the sniper's proverbial subclass identification. Mundy's signature style of combat gets traded in for a lovely dose of good old-fashioned medieval warfare, because when has chivalry ever held you back from victory?
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Hey, stop! Why?
So anyways, the Huntsman does exactly what it looks like. It trades your industrialised method of massacre for a back to basics and admittedly very enjoyable style of combat. The big kicker is that instead of hit scan, Sniper is given a pretty strong projectile, opting for indirect fire instead, and it's fun. Funnily enough though, damage from the Huntsman is still considered bullet damage. A bit of a weird oversight, but it doesn't matter. Much like the classic, you hold down your trusty trigger to charge up your lethal dose of devastation, then let go to unload said sweet destruction into the bad guy's jugular. And hey, your arrows still get that sweet headshot satisfaction, albeit having a lower damage cap than a fully charged sniper, capping at a max of 360 damage. So maybe a beefed up heavy might cause you some trouble, yeah? But anyone else is essentially easily pickings. And can you even argue that, when the hitbox for this thing is so forgivingly massive? Even beside flame particles, these hitboxes are like grapefruits to, well, grapes. Look, just roll with it, okay? The sheer size of this thing's projectile, paired with its remarkably fast speed, ultimately leads to its meme tier status in the community as the ultimate no-skill weapon for a class designed to take the most skill to effectively use. Does that analogy really hold up? Well, maybe yes and maybe no. Personally, I find that having to still shoot relatively close to someone to actually guarantee your kill is still good enough, but hey, people like nothing more than complaining. So just remember, if there's a sneaky bowman lurking around on the other team, do yourself a favour and keep your head down. Oh shit!
Message for you, son.
Heavy show you, ah ha ha! Heavy is ready to conquer line. It's conquer time, babies. Conga, 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 conga.
One shot, one kill.
The mark of the true Infinity War makes its debut. The Texans' S-tier shooter comes in the form of the aptly named Widowmaker, because the enemy team's wives sure ain't going to be seeing their hubbies anytime soon. Picking from the engineer's remarkable arsenal was anything but easy. I had to give the reward to the most fun armament, which I chose to be the Widowmaker. For the most part, it acts just like a bog standard shotgun. It does the same damage, shoots the same amount of bullets, and has the same fire rate. The only difference is that it has no need for reloading whatsoever. So, you mean I can shoot forever?
Nope.
In trade for standard bullets, the engineer's reserve of metal is used as ammunition by this thing, taking a massive chunk of 30 metal per shot. If you were to have a visible clip, you would have the standard 6 shots or 180 metal available. Knowing this, you might wonder why this weapon has the Infinity logo so often stamped on it. Well, because of its metal leaching. The damage you do with this weapon not only puts a nasty dent in the bad guy's face, but also returns metal to the engineer based on the damage you do. This means that if you're able to keep dishing out more than 30 damage per shot, you can keep your clip going forever. What this also means is that not only can you effectively have endless DPS, but if you're able to place your shots well at close range, metal management goes through the fucking roof, making enemies into your own personal ammo packs. Both balanced and remarkably entertaining, the WIDOWMAKER sits comfortably at number 8.
Chef's knife. This is a bit of a dream because it's almost like the perfect sous chef.
Ladies and gents, avert your gaze upon the Qing Dynasty's sacred treasure. The flying guillotine is a remarkably entertaining secondary for the sharp-witted scout who wants a bit more finesse than a boring old pistol, yet has enough dignity to not weaponize his own bodily fluids. As the name suggests, this bloodthirsty cleaver can be thrown through the air to strike those unsuspecting bad guys for a nasty 50 damage, biting a hefty chunk out of their white plus. But it ain't gonna stop there, Chief. We also have the beastly bleed debuff to add an extra bit of oomph to what this thing can already do well. When the bleed damage takes effect, enemies will suffer 4 hit points of damage per tick equal to 8 damage per second, amounting to a total of 40 damage over 5 seconds, meaning that Nasty Cleaver does a grand total of 90 damage, with just over half of that being instantaneous. Now you might be wondering, 90 damage isn't all that much in the grand scheme of things compared to other things Scout can do. Consider that this 90 damage punch can effectively render 8 of the 9 classes vulnerable to a single meat shot follow-up at close range. Hell, even the 50 impact can damage someone really nastily. If executed right, the use of this thing can easily soften up a beefy foe and make your initiation into a fight that much better. Now if the cleaver had a slower regeneration, then I'd understand why people tend to turn their heads, but it doesn't. This thing recharges in just 6 seconds, and actually recharges faster if you hit somebody, shaving off a whole quarter of the normal 6-second wait time. And what's the only downside this weapon possesses, aside from sacrificing the consistent DPS of a pistol? No random crits. With a dash of skill, you can still turn the flying guillotine into an amazing secondary. Allow me to prove it to you. Hey you, free-to-play scout, what's the main use of the guillotine?
I don't know that!
Not many remember the legends of the Cloak and Dagger spy. Once thought extinct, there are but rare sightings dotted throughout history, never revealing itself for long, and never leaving its prey alive. The Cloak and Dagger spy has yet to be identified by even the top experts within the field of fortressology. Yet the legends say that sometimes, just once, in the corner of your eye, you may just notice the tiniest refracting of the light, and then you're gone. The Cloak and Dagger is an interesting piece of espionage technology. While the normal Invis Watch alone is already a remarkably interesting and quite enjoyable tool, the Cloak and Dagger has a special affinity for me. You may be surprised to see such a slow and methodical kind of style be highlighted on this list, but bear with me, I'll explain. The Cloak and Dagger is unique in that, even for spy, it encourages a very calm, calculated playstyle, giving you unlimited cloak while standing still, at the cost of draining your cloak much faster while moving, a heavy trade to be sure. Yet the intrigue I had for this weapon peaked so much as I began to rack up the hours with Monsieur Baguette Thief. The Cloak and Dagger offers a style of entertainment that is completely different comparatively to every other entry on this list. While the weapons the other classes offer all in some way or another are about over-the-top, wacky, enjoyable front and centre combat, the Cloak and Dagger relegates you to a step-by-step, carefully thought out kind of playstyle, one that encourages you to patiently take your time and pick your moves carefully. While this is typical of spy in general, the normal Invis Watch gives you more time to actually execute your actions and less time to plan them out in the moment, while the Cloak and Dagger inverses this. With Infinite Cloak, you have as much time as you need to observe a situation behind enemy lines and pick the perfect moment to strike, allowing you to maximise the chance of success of your methods. However, when it comes to making a getaway, that's where the Cloak and Dagger falters, as losing your cloak quickly can be the quickest ticket to Grim, and yet There's just something indescribably thrilling about that heavy adrenaline rush you receive when you have a tiny fraction of cloak left. You're standing right next to the enemy's power classes and they're just barely strafing around you before you're finally able to barely skirt away with your life. It's so simple, yet so beautifully intricate, and that earns it the number 6 spot. Well, this'll be nice and simple. The rocket jumper. You all know the deal. It deals no damage whatsoever, has a shit ton of ammo, and lets you rocket jump forever, so long as you take no fall damage. For serious play, it's a piece of shit. But who cares? The fucking thing makes rocket jumping your next big journey, and honestly it really is as simple as that. There's not much else you can really say about it. It gives you a great way to learn all the different kinds of jumps that are either handy or even essential to the core soldier gameplay in a lot of scenarios. Even if you play a slower on the ground style soldier with a shotty or a banner, learning some jumps to be able to maneuver yourself is crucial to success. This very mechanic is so iconic that it has a whole entire sub-community dedicated to it, one that I used to moderate for in fact. JumpAcademy.tf is an amazing community dedicated to helping new and experienced jumpers alike in their training endeavours. Go over and give their services a chance, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. All in all, while remarkably shitty and downright simplistic as all hell, the rocket jumper's nonsensical niche is more than enough to earn the number 5 spot.
My fists, they are made of... Ah!
You stay, heavy goes, no follow. The big bear of Bolshevism makes his debut with the clashing of iron, the finesse of steel. My fellow proletariats, the fists of steel. As if ripped right from the hide of a T-14 Armata, the Fists of Steel give heavy massive resistances to all forms of ranged damage, decreasing said sources of damage by a monumentous 40% while the weapon is active. On top of Heavy's already ginormous health pool, this effectively increases Heavy's health by 40% from 300 to 420, protecting Heavy from most forms of ranged damage, even reducing a massive 450 damage headshot to a mere 270, keeping Mr. Misha just barely alive on the breath of life with a few moments to escape. This also makes weak splash damage from explosives, the scorch shot and other minor forms of damage near useless. Pyros? No. Rockets? Weak. Pills? No! Heavy is able to take a whole clip of pills and rockets while the Fists of Steel are active. Now that is scary. Such a great benefit does have risks, of course. On top of sacrificing your entire damage potential to become a beefy tank to protect you and your team, you also take double damage from all melee sources, meaning a Demo Knight or a keen melee attacker can end you swiftly. Furthermore, you swap to other weapons away from the Fists of Steel twice as slow. The most impactful though is a 40% slower heal speed, as well as 40% less overheal being given to you while it's active, meaning the strategy of buffing a Foss Heavy to be near invincible is not nearly as applicable as it used to be. Regardless, I think these changes have acclimated quite well and have put the Foss into a nice reliable spot. Tanking abuse like a motherfucker and still walking out while flipping the bad guys off has never felt so fucking great, and more than deserves to be number 4.
What's in a can of Del Monte green beans?
I have no idea!
It's about goddamn time the Teutonic Man of Medicine got his props. Medic is a fucking amazing class, and the Medigun as a concept alone is one of the most intriguing designs I think I've ever laid eyes upon an FPS unit. But which Medigun wins the lottery of fun? Well, think fast, because it's the Quick Fix. This delightful dose of uberific madness coins itself as the 3rd generation Medigun of Medic's arsenal, priding itself upon a stellar redesign and absolutely beautiful premise. The Quick Fix acts like a superpowered band-aid on steroids infused with god-given Yggdrasil, healing allies as much as 40% faster and even possessing a 10% faster uber build rate, which paired with the faster rate you get by default thanks to faster healing means you'll be handing out triple speed uber charge like Wonka bars!
I'm a trifle deaf in this ear. Speak a little louder next time.
Seriously, there's nothing this Medigun isn't useful for. Faster healing will always be a benefit to your allies, and while it only grants 50% of the normal overheal that other Mediguns do, as well as the Ubercharge is arguably more offensively designed and not as good for defense, there is just one more attribute that puts this magnificent piece of German design above all else. Shared blast jumps!
Go, go, go! Damn you, Marasmus!
Oh, what's that? You're not surprised a pyro weapon ranks this high? Why?
Cause you're a biased, scumbag, piece of fucking shit!
Now don't worry guys, I won't threaten you with a good time. It's simply time to delve into how this weapon greatly defines the difference between martyrdom and suicide. The ever so enjoyable panic attack is here once again to remind us all that there's a good reason these tables are numbered, honey. You just haven't thought of it yet. Sporting a 50% faster deployment time and a 50% increased pellet count at the mere cost of 20% less damage, this shotgun takes the intrinsic role of fast-paced finisher rather than consistent damage dealer. At the alarming rate this shotgun can be whipped out to put those bastards down, you'll be feeding them nails for breakfast and tacks for snacks. Paired with a degreaser, this swift monstrosity becomes the literal embodiment of its name, making Shotgun Puff and Sting Pyro into a super fast-paced romp that never, I repeat, never lets me down, and never loses its enjoyment, particularly when you make those bad guys as mad as rabbits at 9 in the afternoon. While the increasing spread per shot and the lower damage cap can certainly run you into the ground if not careful, it more than makes up for these downsides with the entertaining and effective upsides that are presented. So if you don't like it, build God, then we'll talk. But overall, the panic attack is a great reminder of why I write sins, not tragedies, and how I favour fast-paced gameplay and a romp of a good time when playing as my beloved masked mumbler. Just be careful when you take it for a spin yourself, because the last thing you want to be known for is a life of laughter at the expense of the death of a bachelor.
I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt, and guess what's inside it?
Oh my holy buckets of hobnobs, yes! It's finally time for Finnegan's look at the Scottish piracy. The loose cannon, ripped right off the broadside of the Black Pearl, is the absolute epitome of dumb fuckery that is TF2. What even is there to say? It's a fucking portable pirate's cannon that is in no way practical or viable, and yet it's so goddamn fun! Just charge up that cannonball and send those bastards flying, fucking soaring off those cliffs. Ensuring that you hit your enemy with both your cannonball and the explosion will guarantee you your double donking satisfaction. Now yeah, its DPS compared to other launchers is crap, downright dreadful, and it doesn't really serve a purpose in proper play. But honestly, who the fuck cares? Paired with sticky jumping, you turn Demo into the absolute king of dumbassery, flying about, double donking and hamming people in the face like nobody's business. Fuck Sturgeon, Demo is your First Minister now, Scotland. Bow down before the Pirate King! Honestly, it feels so fucking satisfying. The double donk sound alone is just so damn rewarding enough to make using this weapon feel so damn good that you forget about the downsides. Even better, that it actually takes a modicum of skill to use effectively, all adding up to a really rewarding, really skillful, and really damn entertaining weapon. And my favourite weapon in all of TF2. Now say it with me. What shall we do with the drunken Demo? What shall we do with the drunken Demo? What shall we do with the drunken Demo? I know, let's go flying!